The camera moves through darkness. A single studio light flickers. Before Afrobeats filled stadiums, before the Grammys, before the world danced to our rhythm, there was another story. A story whispered in corridors. A story that never made it to the documentaries. Because Afrobeats wasn't just built on talent. It was built on wars. Wars fought in cramped offices where envelopes exchanged hands. Wars in smoky studios where loyalty was currency. Wars between radio kings who acted like mafia bosses, bloggers who could end careers with a click, and street generals who decided which artist walked freely and which one paid. This isn't the celebration. This is the excavation. The betrayals, the sabotage, the blood, sweat, and silence that shaped the greatest musical movement of our generation. Welcome to the Underground Wars. LA goes, early 2000s. The city never sleeps, but it doesn't dream peacefully either. Lagos in the early 2000s was a battlefield disguised as a music scene. There was no industry, no structure, no rules. Just hunger, hustle, and the brutal mathematics of survival. While the world saw Nigerian music as pidgin rap and highlife throwbacks, something else was brewing in the underground. A new sound, aggressive, melodic, unapologetically African, but it had no name yet, no champions, no pathway to the world. What it had were gatekeepers. Three forces controlled everything. The radio gatekeepers, men with microphones who decided what Nigeria heard. They sat in glass booths like judges, and their playlists were gospel. If you weren't on their rotation, you didn't exist. The blogger kings, digital warriors who emerged when the internet crept into Nigeria. They controlled uploads, downloads, and the precious commodity called virality. Before streaming, before YouTube monetization, they were the distributors, and distribution was power. The street power brokers, area boys, hood leaders, the faces you never saw but always felt. They controlled territories, venues, and access. An artist could blow up in Mushin but get shut down in Surulere. Geography wasn't just location, it was politics. And beneath it all was the divide, mainland versus island. The mainland was raw, rough, real. It bred street anthems and warriors. The island was polished, privileged, connected. It bred pop stars and pretty boys. Both sides needed each other. Both sides hated each other. The war wasn't declared. It didn't need to be. It was already happening. In the early 2000s, radio wasn't just media. It was monarchy. OAPs, on-air personalities, weren't just presenters. They were kingmakers. A single spin during prime time could turn an unknown artist into a household name overnight. But getting that spin, that required something else. Welcome to the world of payola. Not the American version, neat, documented, illegal. The Nigerian version was messier, more personal, more dangerous. It worked like this. You recorded a song, pressed CDs, took them to the station. But you didn't just hand over music. You handed over envelopes, cash, sometimes products, sometimes promises, sometimes threats. The OAPs had their favorites, their networks, their cliques. If you weren't in, you could have the best song in Nigeria. It wouldn't matter. you'd be added to the pile. The pile was purgatory, songs that would never see daylight. There was an artist, young, talented, hungry. He'd made a song that was undeniable. Street clubs were playing it, people were singing it. But radio refused. Why? He'd offended the wrong person, not publicly, not dramatically, just a conversation. A wrong word at the wrong time to the wrong OAP's friend. The word went out quietly. Don't touch this artist. For 2 years he was invisible. He watched contemporaries blow past him, watched opportunities evaporate. All because of one gatekeeper's wounded ego. He survived by going underground, playing shows in rough neighborhoods, building from the bottom while his peers entered from the top. When he finally broke through, it wasn't because radio forgave him. It was because the streets demanded him so loudly that radio had no choice. But the damage was done. 2 years stolen, peak momentum killed. Some artists learned quickly. They built relationships, not just with one OAP, with networks. They showed up at birthday parties, sent gifts during holidays, became family. These artists got played, got pushed, got protected. Others refused to play the game. They called it corruption, called it fake, called it everything except what it was: necessary. Those artists struggled longer, fought harder, and when they won bitter. Radio created 2 classes, the connected and the defiant. Both groups would shape Afrobeats, but they would never trust each other. 2008. Internet cafes multiply across Lagos. Data becomes semi-affordable. Young Nigerians discover something powerful. You don't need radio anymore. Niger loaded, not just OK, Exclusive, Jaguda, 360 knobs. These weren't just websites, they were empires. And the young men running them became gatekeepers overnight. But unlike radio, which had regulations, even if ignored, blogging had none. It was the Wild West, chaotic, competitive, cutthroat. Every new song was a race. Which blog would upload it first? Because first meant traffic, traffic meant advertising, advertising meant money. But more importantly, first meant power. Artists would send songs to multiple blogs simultaneously. The blogs would rush to upload. Sometimes songs would leak before official release, uploaded by rival blogs who had inside connections. Artists would wake up to find their unreleased track already had 50,000 downloads on a site they never authorized. Not every song got featured on the homepage banner. That prime real estate was negotiated, sometimes with money, sometimes with exclusive access, sometimes with future promises. If your song was buried on page 3, while a rival got the homepage, your momentum died before it started. Bloggers had favorites, had clicks, had enemies. There were silent wars over artist access. If Blog A got an exclusive interview, Blog B would refuse to promote that artist for months. Petty? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. Rumor has it never confirmed, always whispered there was a WhatsApp group. Just 5 bloggers, the biggest ones. They allegedly coordinated who would trend each week, who would get pushed, who would be buried. One blogger broke ranks once, leaked the existence of the group. The others denied it publicly, then allegedly froze him out privately. His traffic dropped, his insider access dried up. He shut down his blog within a year. Message received. While radio and blogs fought for digital and airwave dominance, another force controlled something more tangible: the streets. Area boys weren't gang members in the American sense. They were neighborhood authorities, street governments. They controlled access, safety, and reputation. Want to shoot a video in Mushin? You paid the local boys. Want to perform at an Ajagunle club? You cleared it with the area leaders first. This wasn't optional. Artists who ignored protocol faced consequences. Equipment stolen, shows disrupted, physical threats. But it wasn't just about money. It was about respect, recognition, representation. If an artist came from your hood and made it, you were supposed to bring them back. Put them on. Show that success didn't mean abandonment. Artists who forgot where they came from got reminded, violently sometimes. Then came Olamide, indigenous rap, street anthems, unfiltered Lagos. He didn't just represent the streets, he activated them. His music became the soundtrack of survival. Area boys adopted his songs as anthems. Suddenly, street credibility wasn't just protection, it was marketing. An artist endorsed by the streets had an army, a built-in fan base. Organic promotion that money couldn't buy. But that power was double-edged. There's a story corroborated by multiple witnesses, never officially confirmed, about a studio session that went wrong. A rising artist was recording. Late night, isolated studio in a rough area. Local boys walked in, not to harm him, just to talk. They wanted a collaboration. Wanted him to work with their guy. Wanted recognition. He refused, politely at first, then firmly. The conversation got tense. Someone made a call. More boys showed up. The artist eventually agreed, recorded a verse he never wanted to record, with an artist he never wanted to work with. That collaboration never officially released. But the message was clear. Even in the studio, you were never alone. The streets were always watching. As Afrobeats started gaining international attention, the stakes rose, and when stakes rise, loyalty crumbles. An artist was preparing his debut album. 3 years of work, his breakthrough moment. The lead single was supposed to drop on a specific date, coordinated release. Full rollout. 2 weeks before the date, the song leaked. Not just the song, the entire album, unmastered, low quality. But out there, the damage was immediate. The surprise was ruined. The momentum died. By the time the official release came, it felt old. The artist was devastated. His team launched an investigation. They traced the leak back to someone inside the label. Not an accident. Not a hack. Sabotage. A rival artist's manager had allegedly paid someone inside to leak it, to kill the competition before it arrived. The artist never recovered that momentum. His debut became a cautionary tale. Concert promotion was another battlefield. Promoters controlled venues, controlled ticket sales, controlled perception. If a promoter wanted to destroy an artist, they could book them in a terrible venue, undersell tickets, then leak that the show flopped. Or they could overbook, double book two artists on the same night in competing venues, force fans to choose. Create artificial rivalry. There's a famous incident. Two major artists were both booked in Lagos on the same night. Same time, different venues. Both shows struggled with attendance. Both artists felt disrespected. Fans were split. Later, it came out that both bookings were handled by managers who hated each other. They deliberately scheduled the conflict to prove whose artist was bigger. Both artists lost. The managers' egos won. But there was one betrayal that changed everything. The details remain murky. The names are still protected, but the story is known. A major artist was about to sign an international deal. A deal that would have opened doors for other Nigerian artists. A historic moment. Someone in his inner circle, allegedly his manager, leaked negative stories about him to the international label. False accusations, manufactured scandals. The deal collapsed. The artist was blacklisted internationally for years. Why? Because the manager had secretly been negotiating his own deal with a rival artist. If the first artist succeeded, the manager's new client would be second in line. So he destroyed his own artist to elevate the next. When the truth came out, it shattered the industry. Trust evaporated. Every artist began questioning everyone around them. Afrobeats didn't rise because people worked together. It rose because the competition was so fierce, the betrayals so brutal, that only excellence could survive. The war accidentally created warriors. Today, Afrobeats is global. Stadiums, Grammys, billions of streams. But the wars haven't stopped. They've just evolved. Radio wars became streaming wars, playlist politics, algorithm manipulation. Blogger wars became social media wars, influencer control, Twitter narratives. Street politics became online fanbases, stan culture, digital armies attacking on command. The battlefield changed. The war remained. But here's the thing, maybe that's why Afrobeats won. Because when you grow up fighting for every spin, every upload, every show, every ounce of respect, you don't make lazy music. You can't afford to. The underground wars created a system, messy, chaotic, brutal, but a system that forced excellence. Every song had to hit harder because the next artist was trying to destroy you. Every performance had to be legendary because there was always someone waiting for you to slip. Afrobeats didn't succeed despite the wars. It succeeded because of them. The wars created warriors. But who created the wars? In the next episode, we go deeper into the men who controlled Afrobeats from the shadows, the architects, the puppeteers, the power brokers who shaped the entire industry while remaining invisible, the kings without crowns. Who really built Afrobeats?